morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Flyers Nation. Welcome to episode 31 of Flyera Gonna Flyera. Unfortunately, Alex Burnett will not be able to join us today, but we have journalist extraordinaire and pure beauty, Jamey Bascow. Jamey, how's it going, buddy?
Aloha mahalo for everyone. I just want to say go Birds, baby. It is Super Bowl Sunday. We're ready to go. This is Eagles Nation taking over here. Alex, unfortunately, had to miss because he's a Patriots fan, and he's really sobbing that the Eagles are in the Super Bowl right now. That's all that's about. So he's at Gillette Stadium, just crying his eyes out in front of the stadium, saying, "Man, I wish I was an Eagles fan." And I told him, we don't accept any more bandwagon jumpers. So, oh well. So let's go Flyers.
Exactly, Jamey. Stay off our wagon. This is our shit right now. Okay, go Birds.
I love it, man. I love that old style Eagle hat. Looks like, man, the Kelly Green stuff. I like it. That's right. I'm digging it, man. I like the vibe.
Picked this up this summer back in Philly, and I was actually looking for a new Flyers hat, but I saw this, so I'm like, okay, done deal.
I tell my wife all the time, we're still vibing. I tell her all the time, just because we're 40, 41 here and stuff like that, it doesn't matter. We're vibing, baby. This is Eagles Nation.
Right. Oh man, all right. So Jamey, man, this week we got 4 games. Colorado loss.
Yep.
2-0, another shutout.
Yeah.
But then hey, we decided let's score some goals and still lost in overtime to Utah 3-2. Then scored a few more goals, but still lost 4-3 to Washington. And lo and behold, right before the break, we beat those damn Pittsburgh Penguins. If we were gonna win one game this week, that's the one I wanted to.
Yeah.
And just quick thoughts on the week that was.
Definitely far off. I thought it'd be 2-2 as opposed to 1-2-1. Nonetheless, this showed me that Samuel Erson's the number one goaltender. I'll just keep it short and sweet because there's really nothing else really to talk about except for the greatness of the great game that Kuzmenko had. I thought he really had a very, very good Flyers debut there. Could have had at least 3 or 4 points, but nonetheless, this was a week for Samuel Ersson, so I tip my hat to the guy. At one point on this show about a month ago, I was pretty hard and critical of Ersson, especially because he was unable to stay healthy, comes back, gets another injury, comes back, sustains another injury. And we're actually finally seeing the Ersson is when he's completely healthy. And kudos to him. I know there's a lot of stress, on him in terms of injuries and stuff, and it wasn't the easiest for him. So for him to keep confident and with the right mental state, to put forth this week, I'm astounded by the goaltending. I thought Fedotov, played well too. So I tip my hat to him too. Some people I saw were pretty critical of Fedotov, and I didn't really see a goal that he should have had. Should have made the save. Did he make that save? No, but he made other great saves that game to keep them in it within striking distance. So I think that just Samuel Ersson was phenomenal this week.
Oh yeah, no goaltending. I have to say, Ersson's back. I always look. He went through some rough stretches. Definitely, at one point, especially after he came back from the injury and everything. But no, look, he's showing us the old Ersson. He's showing us what he can do, and he's showing us that look, maybe he can be a starter in this league and a full-time starter, and not just a tandem goalie. But if he keeps on playing the way he is, especially behind the team that we were putting in front of him right now, look, when we traded for Kuzmenko and Peltier, when we got rid of Frost and Farabee, those guys, man, Kuzmenko played his first game yesterday. And Peltier still hasn't played, so we're dressing at least 3-4 AHLs in front of this guy every day. So and no, look, I have to say, he's playing super well. Look, now he's going to the 4 Nations, and I don't think he's going to be the starter, but at least I'm sure in the back of Sweden's mind, if we got to put this guy in net, they're pretty satisfied with what they see, and I'm satisfied with what I see. And same thing with Fedotov. I think Fedotov is showing look, he can be a backup in this league. And usually, look, every time he plays, I feel like there's always one goal. I'm like, oh, I wish he just had one more save. But at the end of the day, a backup. That's why I don't think he'll be a starter in this league, but that's what you get usually from your backups. But he makes these incredible saves and just always just leaves you with wanting one more save. But at the end of the day, and look, it's good that they finally broke the Flyers broke their goalless streak. I think it
Mhm.
was about 220 minutes that they hadn't scored on a goalie, because there was the empty net that Scott Lawton scored against New Jersey. I don't count that one, but Hathaway had scored early in the second period of that same game. So, and then of course, lo and behold, Rodrigo Abels that breaks the streak out of all players. And I would have put money on to break that streak. I don't know if it was him, but no, he's been playing solid too. And that's why I got to give it, like, the guys that we called up, the Gauchers, the A-balls. Like, look, they're playing. Obviously, it looks like some of them are playing a little above their heads, but they're holding their own. And I think that's it's a good thing. And look, Kuzmenko. Actually, will lead us right into our next topic. Kuzmenko. I thought he played great. I thought he gave us. It was a real good first impression. What'd you think, Jamey?
Oh, I thought he was phenomenal. You saw the old like Kuzmenko that he was, a few years ago. It looked like the 39 goal plus goal scorer. Maybe not as much as that. Maybe his playmaking abilities stood out to me, and I don't know if that's because the Flyers have been lacking a playmaker as of late, and that's why he just stood out to me. But he was one of the fastest skaters on the ice. I mean, he was making plays, threading the needle on made some really nice passes by threading the needle. I just thought he was with it, engaged, and I was actually very impressed. I didn't know how he would play. I was a little worried about it because with having it's easy for you and I to just say, oh, just get in there and go play. These guys are athletes. He hasn't played in over a week. He was being healthy scratched, for Calgary and stuff. So it's not, it wasn't easy. Then he gets traded, has to wait well over a week for the trade, a week and a half. It turned into from him, not being able to play in an actual game. So, like he was saying, he worked out, with the Calgary Hitmen. He was fortunate to get that, ice there, with Jakob Peltier, had a connection with the Calgary Hitmen. So, thank you to Calgary for allowing them to, condition and skate. And it really paid off for Kuzmenko. You could tell he's determined. He wanted to get on the ice. He said that. He said that in his post-game presser. He was just happy. He just wanted to stay conditioned because he knew, playing in the NHL, that's what you have to do. You got to stay conditioned. He's looking forward to the break. But the one thing that stood out to me in his post-game presser was like, I need to continue to work. So this is no vacation for, Andrei Kuzmenko. This is a conditioning vacation for Andrei Kuzmenko. That's all he's going to do. He's probably going to stay around. If he's not going on vacation, with Mafia Mitchkov, then he'll stay at Voorhees and get some workouts in and stuff. And I was very, very impressed. Really good. Really, it's turning into you're looking at both teams right now, and that look like it's equal. Morgan Frost scored, his second goal last night. So Joel Farabee had a goal the other night. So like it's turning into what it looks to be sort of an even swap. Change the scenery guys that are playing well with the new opportunities that they've been given.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I saw Morgan Frost has a couple goals now with Calgary, and good, honestly, good for him. Like, I have no ill will against the player and Farabee as well, and I'm just happy. Like, if both sides could win in this trade, they both end up with just guys that needed a change of scenery, and they both like find that change in Philadelphia and in Calgary, and they produce. Like, that's just great. It's great for both sides because anyone you talk to, like, talked about Morgan Frost or Joel Farabee, just great guys, and like
Mm-hmm.
I'm really happy that if they could find a home in Calgary and really like find their game there, I'd be so happy. But as for Kuzmenko, like, look, I liked a lot of what I saw last night. Like, um, I heard a couple of things before. Oh, this guy's lazy. This guy doesn't back check. Blah 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 blah. I saw none of that like last night. Now, granted, one game, so like maybe he's trying to make an impression, everything. But like, man, he was back checking. He was strong plays on the board. Like, look, the Lawton goal, like he set that up. He made like this nifty little pass off the boards that sprung. I think it was Lawton, then to TK, then back to Lots. And that was all him. Like, he doesn't make that play on the boards. That play doesn't go the other way, and we don't score. So, and there was a couple other like little nice like forechecks
Yeah.
that I thought he was going into the corners behind the
Yeah.
net and everything. Like the kid was hustling, and like look, maybe doesn't have the best foot speed, but like he's not slow. So
Right.
that was one thing that was kind of worrying me. And then when I was watching him play, I'm like, okay, he's not slow.
Right.
That's perfect. That's great. And yeah, there was that like he didn't end up scoring, but there was like little quick spinorama that he did at one point towards the end of the game. So the guy's got skill, man. He made
Yeah.
some beautiful tape to tape passes. So like, look, the skill is there, and you saw it because in that first season, right, with Vancouver, he did score 39 goals, 35
Right.
assists, 74 points. So the offense is there, and it's just I don't know, it's just like really weird because then he dips to 21 points in 43 games the next
Mhm.
season in Calgary, in Vancouver. Then he got straight to Calgary, busts out again. He had 25 points in 29 games. But then this season, 15 and 37. So I don't know. It's just one of those like I guess maybe weird situations, change of coaches. I don't know. But like, look, if he could find his game in Philly, if he could show in the next few games after the break that like he's a player, and I was wondering at one point if maybe the Flyers try to trade him at the deadline. But I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about it this way. Well, maybe like if they like what they see in the next few games, maybe they keep him around and try and sign him for next season. I'd be weird. Obviously I wouldn't give him more than 1 year if they do like consider re-signing him. Just like because like with his track record so far, I give him that 1 year deal and we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't mind resigning him if this is what he shows me consistently game after game. Like, oh yeah, like this is a player that I would like to keep a hand on, especially with a young guy like Mishkov. Like obviously, like Kuzmenko speaks English a little better than Mishkov does at this point. Like he can communicate very well. He did his press conference in English, so like the communication is there. So another friend for Mishkov, another guy that can help him, bring him along, knows the NHL at this point. So yeah, like would you like Jamey, like would you be down for the Flyers re-signing him?
100%. I think he should already be resigned. And the reason I say that, it's not taking up a roster spot from anybody in Lehigh. But secondly, he seems to be becoming friends with Mafi Michkov, and I think that's really big for his development and development in North America. For him to get to know the English language, you have yet another Russian in his press conference to the media. Kuzmenko said that he looks forward to getting to know Kolosov. Michkov, he's already, met. He didn't speak on, and he spoke on Fedotov. So this is becoming a Russian mecca, in in terms of the Flyers hockey. They're just becoming a Russian, a go-to team. If a Russian wants to join, come on, So yeah, I think that I understand the sentiment that he could be flipped at the deadline because he is an asset. I look at it a different way. He continues to get along with Michkov. I think he should be re-signed. I look at it as more of, we need to build Mafi. That's what this is about. So getting a Kuzmenko who now understands, okay, cool, I'm going to a Russian environment where there's, more Russians there. So he's familiar with the language, and he hasn't talked about Zamula, obviously, because Zamula hasn't been able, to be on the ice and stuff yet. But they're becoming, he continues to get transitioned, with other Russians. I think it could pan out very well for him. It also, I think that he has a little more edge to his game, knowing that he's not going to be given many chances, many more chances in the NHL. I mean, this is his third team in 4 years, so. He went from, being drafted by, Vancouver. Then he gets flipped to Calgary. Now he gets flipped to Philadelphia. You only get so many chances at the NHL level before you get shafted, not shafted, but, moved, to say the KHL or something of that nature. Look what happened to Tony DeAngelo. He went through so many teams and had to end up in the KHL. And now he's back in the NHL. So Kuzmenko could look at it like that. Okay, cool. This might be my last shot, because he doesn't know when he's going to be given his last shot. And I think that's a dangerous player. So, yeah, I'm full up for re-signing him. I would definitely give him, a few more games. And then Danny Briere definitely has to, sit there and talk with Torts and see if he's part of the future or not. I see him as part of the future right now. with the way he bonded the first day with Michkov, I see that's a guy, okay, first off, they're familiar with one another because he used to play with Michkov. But I see this as more than just playing on the ice. I see this as a guy who is starting to get ingrained to help Michkov become, maybe he could be the go-to guy, that liaison that Torts was looking for. If he doesn't understand what's going on the ice, then Kuzmenko could talk to him, because he's familiar with Michkov.
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, anything that can help Mishkov grow as a player and to get better adapted to the NHL, to North America, to all this, it's a plus. So you're not losing. Like, even if let's say, like, for instance, because like even if Kuzmenko puts up a few more points before the trade deadline, we got only what, like 6 more games before that. So
Yeah.
I can't see a team like being like, oh, we'll give you a first for Kuzmenko. Like, I don't see that happening at all. Like, best case scenario, what you're gonna get maybe a third, best case scenario.
Yeah.
So like I think probably holding on to him for the rest of the season and potentially re-signing him, obviously, like, in my opinion, is way, 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 way more than a third round pick. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, look, I like what so far, like I said, so far so good. I like what I see. I like what he brings to the team. And if he could help develop Mishkov, like, he would be, he'd be a great addition to our team, especially that he plays left wing. Even though, like, I don't know what it is with our team that we just have like putting guys on off wings all the time. Like, he's a right hand shot, but he plays on the left. And but anyway, whatever. It doesn't really matter at this point. But like, but yeah, no, look, great addition. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully he can keep up. And we'll see where we go from here. But also, talking about additions, look, this summer the Flyers will have some added cap space. And look, and who knows? I don't know what Danny's plans are at the trade deadline. If if he's going to trade Risto. Now all of a sudden, Anthony DeMarco, I think it was yesterday, the day before, put out that apparently there's a lot of interest in Lawton. And so if Lawton also is moved somehow, I can't see it happening. I honestly think Lawton will probably be a Flyer for life. But you know what? Crazier things have happened. Danny Briere did say, look, if you meet my price, anyone's available. So if Lawton is traded away, that's another $3 million off the books. If Risto's traded away, that's another $5 million off the books, 5.1 to be exact. That leaves the Danny Briere with a lot of cap space this offseason. And as of July 1st, there's a few interesting names that are going to be RFAs. If not, obviously, right now are not signed. But by July 1st, if they're not signed, Danny Briere might have a little options. Maybe send an offer sheet somewhere. Jamey, like, what are your thoughts on offer sheets? And like, who's a player that maybe might interest you, let's say, that Briere would shoot an offer sheet to?
So for give the backstory on this, I really think, first off, the Flyers want a 1C. I think that's no secret, right? They definitely need a center. That's one thing that this team like really lacks, is a 1C. And it's a great title for the show, 1C for hire, because the Flyers are all hands on deck to obtain a 1C. How do you do it? Well, can't really do it via trade. It's really more difficult via trade because, yes, the Flyers do have assets, but if you're talking about like an Elias Peterson, or something like that, teams like that aren't looking for first round picks. What could be? They want players now. They want the players now. So if the Flyers don't want to give up the farm, what do? You have to go down the restricted free agent route, like Eric mentioned, and stuff like that. So plan A for me was Leon Draisaitl, and I really think that was plan A for the Flyers too. They saw 2025 UFA. They really thought that, they would go all hands on deck to obtain, a free agent by the name of Leon Draisaitl. Obviously, it didn't pan out. Draisaitl resigned, last year. So that was plan A. I really think that they were going to go all hands on deck for Leon Draisaitl, and no one can convince me otherwise. I think if that name hit the market, the Flyers would be major players, and probably would have ultimately won, with various reasons for that. So now what do? Restricted free agent. There's one name. I'm all hands on deck for Marco Rossi. If he doesn't re-sign by the trade deadline, that is key. He has to re-sign by the trade deadline. If he does not, I'm telling you right now, I could really see Danny Briere throwing money, at Marco, and it would be very, very difficult for Minnesota. Yes, I know the cap is raising, so it gives them a few extra $1 million as well, but no one could compete with what Philadelphia has to offer, especially offloading. There's a reason they offloaded some contracts in terms of ridding Joel Farabee. There's a reason why they traded Morgan Frost. They didn't want that lingering around, that cloud, that dark cloud saying, "Oh, okay, we got to throw money at Morgan Frost now. He's going to want a little bit of a raise, because it's another year." So now they don't have those dark clouds. Now they have what would be their biggest RFA to re-sign. Would be Cam York. So I would. Cam York, with the season that he's had, isn't going to command a ton of money as opposed to what I first thought. I really thought that they would be handcuffed, and they're not going to be handcuffed in any way due to the season. Not saying he's playing real bad, but he hasn't really, over exceeded my expectations or expectations of the Flyers' eyes either. But he's an important piece to the future, but he won't just command the money that I thought he would get. So what does that do? That's extra money to throw at Marco Rossi. So whereas, 3 or 4 million, or anywhere from $2 to $3 million that they would have to give Cam York, would have had to give him 2-3 million more. Now they could give Marco Rossi 2 to 3 million more to sway him to come to Philadelphia, especially with the cap rising this year, the cap going up the next 2 seasons after that. I really think the Flyers are in a position to throw money. That is my target, Marco Rossi.
That's a great name. I love Marco Rossi. I love his game. Me personally, he's not my number 1 target, but he'd be either 2 or 3 for sure. What not bothers me, but like already that we're a bit of a small team. Like he is only 5'9", but although I have to say though, he's not like he's 5'9", but he's thick. Like there's difference between being small and being 5'9", and being 5'9", but also being thick. Like you can't get these guys off the puck. It's like a Martin St. Louis. If you remember St. Louis back in his day, the guy had like legs like tree trunks. So it's like you couldn't move these guys, lower center of gravity and everything. So like I know I like the name Marco Rossi for sure. I think if they would throw like, because what I hear is that Bill Guerin's not too like, it's not like he doesn't like Marco Rossi. What I keep on hearing is that again he's not thrilled with the size. He prefers the bigger center. Normal. That's hockey. That's hockey executives. That's what they always say. I prefer the big center. I prefer the big center. Okay, fine, whatever. So I heard that he doesn't want to throw, and he's worried about what Marco Rossi's contract might look next. And like, look, the guy's almost a point per game player this season. So on Minnesota, so they're gonna have to pay him. So I don't know if maybe Bill Guerin's gonna try and like facilitate a trade before July 1st. Maybe it's gonna be at the draft or something. Maybe like I think I've put this out there before. What makes a lot of sense to me is actually like a Dylan Cousins, Marco Rossi trade.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense to me. So
Habs are getting Dylan Cousins.
Sorry, what, Rick?
The Habs are getting Dylan Cousins. Leave him alone.
Sure, Rick. Sure. But no, but yeah, but look, if I had to target somebody, me personally, my target is Wyatt Johnson from Dallas. I love his game. I've loved him for years now, and I didn't pull up his stats, but like no, him too. Like he's a great player, and look, Dallas has a lot of good young players. They got a few centers coming, and look, I put something out there on Twitter the other day that like I put out. It was insane, completely insane, because the way I look at offer sheets and the way, if I was a GM, like you have to figure out the right number, right? Because at the end of the day, like you could throw, let's say, like we said, like Marco Rossi, you could throw Marco Rossi like an $8 million a year offer, like he could sign, yeah, but like it's a very easy match. It is a very easy match for Minnesota. Minnesota will just match it. Because also with Minnesota is that they have the contracts coming off the books of Suter and Parise, so they're gonna have money. So you have to look at so what I like to do is I like to look at a team's cap situation, and you have to look at what they want to do and what they have to do in the off season. So like Dallas, for instance, like they probably have to re-sign Jamie Benn. They probably have to re-sign Matt Duchene and Wyatt Johnson, for example, but they don't have to. They probably want to sign what's his name, Demidov, not Demidov, excuse me. Anyway, a couple other of their UFAs, maybe they want. So you have to find that magic number, and what's that number that is so crazy? Okay, Jamie, a number so crazy that the opposing team will never be able to match, and that the player, if he sees that contract in front of him, would have to say, "There's no way in hell I can find this." So I propose something on Twitter. Again, I'm gonna say again, it's completely insane, but something like this might get you that player. And what I proposed was basically sending a 1 year, basically like what Carolina did to Montreal with Kotkaniemi. They sent him a 1 year deal, but I'm saying if we're clearing all this space, let's go to the 20% max. Let's send Wyatt Johnson a 1 year, $19 million contract. Like, how, as a player, how could you refuse that money? And two, as an organization, Dallas, how are they going to match that?
Can I say something here? You made me actually say, "Oh Jesus," out loud with that 19 million.
Well, again, I'm throwing 19 million down because that's the max 20. But what I'm saying from my point before is like you could look at Dallas going through, like just on Puckpedia, go through their books and like, okay, they need this much money to sign exactly this many players. So maybe not 19. Let's throw them 16. Let's throw them 17. Find that number that Dallas cannot. It's not that they don't want. It's that they not that they don't want to match. It's they can't match. Find that number and like offer him. And like I said, I threw 19 just because that's the 20%. That's the max you can offer somebody. But like, why not try? Like, I'm just think outside the box, because if you want this to work, because somebody said, oh, because like the max that you could offer without spending 4 first round picks is something around like 11.6, blah 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 blah. So I'm sorry, Dallas is matching that every day, all day, every day.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So and look, what I'm saying here obviously doesn't come without cost. It's going to cost you your next 4 first round picks. But if now you have your number one center of the future, plus you add, let's say, a couple things here and there to balance out your team, even if in 2026, let's say you're still not in contention, but you're a 15, 16, 17, okay, and then the next 3 after that, then your team is just rising. So I don't know, Jamie. I'm rambling.
No, that makes sense. When you think about it, you only get one shot. So, like, you have to throw a creative offer away, around. So you think about it. Matt Duchene comes off, the Dallas's books. What's that? 8 or 9 million off their salary, off their cap
for this year.
Oh, is that what it is for?
Yeah, he's taking.
Wow. Okay. So that's much cheaper. So the hands are still tied for Dallas, because that's a $15 million difference, there. So, okay. They get the 4 million. So now it's down to 15. Who else comes off their books? Not sure anybody near, that 15 million mark would come off their books. So you're really handcuffing Dallas, and that's how they have to operate. Okay. Who's coming off the books? Okay. So if you had an $8 or $9 million player, 10 million, okay, 10 million cap rising. Okay. That's not bad. So with the cap rising, about 4 million. So now they're up to 8. So now they have 11 to play with. It's hard for a team like the Dallas organization. Like you were saying, it's a great team to target. They're in Stanley Cup contention right now. They're Stanley Cup contenders. So it's not like they could just have tons of money to just throw around. Namely, contenders like that are usually up against the cap. So they're with the RFAs that they have to sign of their own, like Eric mentioned, it's not as easy to say, okay, yeah, we could come up. You only get one shot. So yeah, some people might call him crazy for a 1 year, $19 million deal. But you have to get creative in a way, like he said. I totally agree. You have to throw an offer there that the organization become, 19? Let me see here. You know what? It is worth the 4, first rounders, because they get the 4, first rounders. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. So maybe we could recoup that, have the money, recoup, sign a center, maybe now re-sign Matt Duchene, who they didn't possibly think that they would have an opportunity to. Now they have an opportunity to re-sign Matt Duchene, keep him in Dallas, for another year or two, however long they want, and then maybe go after, another RFA center themselves by recouping, that contract, for Wyatt Johnson, maybe try to scoop up, a second, one of those lower tier, centers there, or something of that nature, or going after a lower, tier center, for free agency. That would really handcuff Dallas. So that's exactly what the Flyers would have to do. That's exactly why Danny Briere is freeing. I believe he probably is going to go down the RFA route. I agree. Dan Silver has put out, a few tweets about that as well. And I totally agree with him. He's done a good job in that regard. I really think that the Flyers are really going to target an RFA, and throw money at. So yes, Wyatt Johnson would be a name. Marco Rossi. There's others that would be named. Maybe, just maybe Toronto is tired of Mitch Marner and the Flyers go after Mitch Marner. I don't know. Now we're going into another avenue there. But, but I think that they're going to use the RFA route. I really do. And I think there's a reason why they're shedding money off the salary off the books. So, yeah. And I think that is namely why Rasmus Ristolainen, I don't think, is traded by the deadline. I think that it'd be hard to, okay, now they need a 1C. Now they need another right-handed defenseman, at least keep him solidified there. Now you have sort of your D looking forward for next year solidified. At least you got your top four pairing there that you don't have to worry about and try to have another avenue to go after. Jamie Drysdale is also playing better. Here as of late, he's looking like the Jamey, possibly his development. He's looked really, really good. So I think that's another reason why Risto doesn't get traded is because they will go down the RFA route for a 1C. It's one less position they have to worry about. And now with Fedotov playing better here as of late, he might be that backup goaltender for the Flyers, So now that's another position that they don't have to worry about. What I mean is what we're trying to say. 1C RFA route.
Yeah. No, because look, it makes the most sense because I'm sure Danny's been trying to trade for a center. I'm positive.
Yeah.
We all know that he's been trying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think what he's coming to find out is that with a lot of people that really know hockey, especially NHL, these guys are not available. And when and they come Jack Eichel was available a few years ago, but that's only because him and Buffalo were having a riff over how he wanted to cure an injury. So and so that's so rare. And so I think he sees that. He obviously realizes that. So you could try and tank and get one in the draft, and which they're not tanking right now, but they're trying to get the best position available. But if you don't want to do a full teardown and really make your team terrible, that you because you never guarantee yourself the first overall pick, obviously, but to really end up in the top 3 where you might get that guy.
Yeah.
This is the only other way I could see it happening. They're going to have to do something crazy. And if this is what it is, this is what it is. And look, you said Rossi. I said Wyatt Johnson. Look, Mason McTavish also in Anaheim. He's an RFA this year also.
He'd be a little tougher only because Anaheim's going to have a little money to play with there because they have all younger guys on ELCs. So to be honest with you, yes, I would love Mason McTavish, but I don't include him in that because that would be a team that could say, hey, we're going to match because they don't have to really pay players. I think that the two targets would be Marco Rossi and Wyatt Johnson because those two namely organizations, they're in Stanley Cup contention right now, both the Minnesota Wild and with the way, everything's gone for them and Dallas Stars. They're going to be there for a year or 2 years, maybe possibly 3 years. They're not going anywhere with the players that they have. So I really think you can handcuff those organizations, in such a way. And I do agree with Rick. Okay, you want Dylan Cousins? Go to the Habs. The Flyers could have had Dylan Cousins and Zegers by now, I think, especially after that trade with Frost that opened up the center. I don't think the Flyers are targeting either players. I think that they could have had them if they wanted them this past week and it didn't come to fruition for whatever reason. Maybe they were talking, and all. Just because teams are talking, I want to throw this out there. Just because teams are talking, that doesn't mean a trade is imminent. Talking is different than serious negotiations. That's like Danny Briere just reaching out. Hey, what do you want for Trigger Zegers? What are you looking for? That's what a good GM does, and that's what Danny Briere is doing. There's, like Eric said, I want to clear the air with that. There's a little different. Just because they're talking doesn't mean that it's serious negotiations. They're just trying to get an understanding of what a team would offer in case. So,
yeah, no, 100%. And look, RFAs and offer sheets. Like, I know we're looking for a center, but I just would also like your opinion on this too, Jamey. There's two interesting defensemen that are RFAs this offseason. Luke Hughes and Noah Dobson. I don't know. Like, we also kind of, I don't think number 1D is the most pressing in our team. But if they can't, like, for instance, let's say those top three that right now that we mentioned all resign before July 1st, so we won't be able to offer sheet them. But let's say a Luke Hughes and a Noah Dobson are still unsigned by then. Do you think Danny Briere would maybe shift his thinking and saying, you know what, maybe I'll go get myself a Luke Hughes and a Noah Dobson, because these are also two teams that are a bit in, New Jersey's in contention. The Islanders are just like in no man's land, but like their cap is pretty tight. So I don't know. That'd be kind of interesting. Would you be down like for a Noah Dobson or a Luke Hughes?
I don't think that. Yes, I would be. But I don't think that Danny Briere would like to ruffle those feathers with Lou Lamoriello. I think something like that would definitely, the Islanders are playing better as of late, so I don't know if they would be, but I mean, it's something to come to fruition. I wonder if that's plan B. I really think that plan A was the Leon Draisaitl. I really do. So now they have to switch to plan B, which would be an A right now, which would be the RFA route. Plan B, that might be plan B. That would definitely handcuff, New Jersey. They're going to have to start playing some players here, as well, because they got a lot more players coming off of ELCs here that need contracts, and stuff. And plus, they got invested already in Nico Heathshire for good reason. I know he's hurt right now, but still, nonetheless, it would really handcuff both those organizations in their own division. I would be inclined. I really think that. I think that it's all hands on deck for Danny Briere, but I really think that I could see that coming to fruition. It definitely, I would definitely think about it, but I think that their target is a 1C, so I think they're going to stick to the 1C level there. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I honestly, Jamey, I tend to agree. It's just I saw those names, I'm like, I got to write those down because.
But it's cool though. It's a good thought.
One of those guys on my team any day. No, but yeah, no, 1C is definitely the target for this offseason, and yeah, we gotta address this quick there, because look, if we could get one in the draft, plus we have Luchenko, plus we get our in the future, whether it's RFA trade, whatever, like our center position will be very, very healthy for like the next 10 years, the next decade, basically.
Yeah. So, I agree.
Yeah, and so Danny's got his work. Danny's got his work cut out for him, definitely this offseason. But one person that definitely won't have his work cut out for him is Rasmus Ristolainen the next couple of weeks, because Jamey, he's hurt and he won't be going to Four Nations.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame.
Yeah. No, honestly, really sucks. And look, he's got this injury right now. It's not clear, right? Because they only said upper body injury. Do you know more or less what it is, or?
We could have our thoughts on it. I'm not going to speculate. I don't like to speculate on injuries. To be honest with you, I haven't heard. Yeah, it's just upper body, but nonetheless, I think this is a good thing for him. I don't think this. I think he really was a game time decision yesterday. I just think that he pulled himself out of the tournament, and I think what it looks like is that the Four Nations tournament maybe might not be taken as serious, and that they really are treating this as like an all-star game, in certain aspects, So I think it's of his benefit to, and Crosby has a big decision here too, because Crosby may not be playing in the Four Nations either. The Pittsburgh Penguins are leaving that, decision up to him as well. So no, I'm worried about Samuel Erson. Out of everybody, I know you want to represent your nation, and so I give all kudos to even Rasmus Ristolainen for being named there. It's an honor. It really is an honor to represent your country. And Travis Konechny and Travis Sanheim, kudos to them for having great years, for them and being able to represent Team Canada. But I'm worried about Erson because Torts said yesterday in his posting presser that he's going to utilize him down the stretch pretty well, and that he has a plan in action for Sam Erson. And he didn't mention the Four Nations and then mention the Four Nations because he forgot that he was actually playing for Team Sweden. So I think, to me, that's a cause of concern. However many games he's going to play for Team Sweden, and I know he wants to play for them because, again, you're representing your nation. You may not get another shot at doing such. I don't hold him. I'm not mad at him for doing that. But with the way his health issues has happened this season, with going down twice, due to injury, I am concerned. I want Erson to, just stay healthy. I want Erson to stay healthy, and I think that representing, his country is a tough one to do. But I just hope that he stays healthy because they're really going to need him down the stretch if they want to make the playoffs. And but
playoffs, Jamey, playoffs. I don't know.
Had to for Dim Moore, right? Super Bowl day. That's a good Colts, thing there. So.
Oh man, no, it's same. Like I hope the best for Sam. I hope he's healthy. I hope he enjoys his time at the Four Nations. And man, I'm blanking on the roster. I don't think he's the starter. I think he's gonna be a backup there, but he'll probably get into at least one game. But yeah, no, look, happy for Sanheim too, and Konechny. Hopefully everything goes well for them. As a Canadian, obviously, I really hope things go very well for them. So I'll be watching and I'll be rooting, and
That's a tough team to beat, man. It's just a tough team. The Team Canada is just a tough team to beat. With or without Crosby, they're just loaded to the gills there with just tons of talent. It's crazy. Canada is a very lucky country in terms of their hockey, man. It's every single WJC. I don't think they were utilized appropriately. I think we've come to find out there. And sometimes you got to find out the hard way. And I think taking things away from the WJC, that it was a hard lesson to learn. But I Team Canada is just stocked to the gills, man. They're going to be a very, very tough team to beat.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting tournament, but a fun watch, and it's gonna be a nice little palate cleanser before the final stretch, till the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, this gives some Flyers fans some sort of a playoff atmosphere of hockey that they haven't been able to see, unfortunately, in years, But better times are ahead, Flyers fans. I'll tell you that. I hate to keep saying this. It's just stay patient and stick with it. Yeah, they may not make it this season, and they probably won't, but, to the playoffs anyway. But the playoffs are nearing. I'll tell you that. The packed house that was there, the loudness that was there for the game against Anaheim with Cutter Gauthier and stuff like that, it's there. Just got to, there's about another year, of sticking it out. I hate to say that, just stick it out. But they get this 1C, and that's why I circle back to the RFA. Sorry to get off the Four Nations here and circle back, but that 1C, they will get it. They will get it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you, in the off season, they're going to get it.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Jamey. This is going to be a fun off season for the Flyers and for Flyers fans. I feel it. Well,
they're passionate. They're passionate. They deserve it, man. They invest so much time and money, into this, man. Flyers fans are like any other organization. They travel well. They're always loud, in stadiums and stuff, and always wearing their orange clad, gear. They just represent very well, and they deserve better. They really do. And I hate to say, stay patient, but you know what, Flyers fans, continue to travel and stuff, support the team, because At the end of the day, you're all they got. Fans, you guys are important. You men and women are very important, to the overall success of this organization. Like they feel bonded, with the team, as the family they consider them. And I think they're great.
Oh, 100% agree. And same thing. I've said the same thing. I know it's really hard to hear for a lot of Flyers fans to stay patient, but because of like what's gone on like the past decade here. But you know what? I personally I find the way I feel about this new regime and this new direction that we're going in, it just seems to make a lot more sense. The right moves are being made, and that's it. And now, like I said, I know it's hard. Like a lot of people are saying, "Oh, but this is what they told us 10 years ago, and this is what they told us 5 years ago." I understand, but it feels different now. I don't know how to explain it. It just feels different,
Yeah.
and that's it. Just patience, guys. It's coming. You see, look. Bear man, we're stocked this draft, and if we can make the right moves and then the right move this offseason with certain players, it's not going to take that much longer. So that's it.
No.
Patience. And with that, I think we'll wrap this up. Any last words, Jamey? Quick.
Yeah, you know what? When the Eagles score their first touchdown tonight, ladies and gentlemen, because I know a lot of them are Flyers fans as well, we're going to have chocolate martinis together. So I'll send everyone a video of a chocolate martini. That's what's going to happen. First touchdown, chocolate martini for everybody.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm definitely gonna get my steps in later this evening. I just pace. My wife, like, it drives her nuts. I just pace. I just pace around.
Yeah. I'm gonna take the kids miniature golf and try to stay a little active.
So yeah, okay. Well, with that said, Jamey, was great episode this week. Real fun, and there's no Flyers games this week, so nothing to go over. And yeah, man, Flyers Nation out there, have a nice night, nice evening, nice morning, whatever. Go Birds.
Go Birds.